Let's see here. So my name's Joel Chuka. As I mentioned, I've been doing this for a while. Let's see here. This is my fourth career. I'm a management consultant. I usually do large-scale business transformation, and either technology or new large-scale processes, something like that. My marketing tie-in. I had a stint in government. I became a CPA, and that was boring as all get out. And so I decided to go and get my MBA here, and I fell in love with marketing because I wanted to study strategy, and marketing is the hardest strategy. So I've delivered new products, I've stood up new brands, I've refreshed brands, all sorts of different marketing stuff. And then I found my way into a management consulting career. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I'll pass it over to you, Thomas.
What's up, everybody? My name's Thomas. I am a local boy, born and raised here right here in Tacoma, Mount Tacoma, Pierce College. They got my BA in marketing for right here in Tacoma. I went directly into management consulting for about 7 years, where I started off as an analyst and then kind of moved into portfolio management, sales and marketing. Then I transitioned over to Microsoft as a technical PM. Been there for about 8 years. I started off in commerce engineering. Then I moved to Teams product engineering, and I just recently almost hit my year mark. I'm in the marketing and business planning organization at Microsoft now. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Again, this is 5, 4, 5. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, really excited to hear you guys the questions for today.
Turn it over to Wes.
Thank you. All right. Actually, I'm out of here now. I got what I paid for. First of all, I want to congratulate all of you for showing up. Right, I don't think any of you had to be here, but obviously you're hungry and you want to learn something. So I just remember I was a student here at UW Tacoma, and I graduated in 2015. Did not go directly out of high school, but I was, on the other side. I was the one, participating in as much activities and things that I can. So again, hats off to you. Thanks for being here. I hope you're going to learn something. I hope maybe you learn a little something from me and a lot from Thomas. He's absolutely amazing. I had the opportunity to meet Thomas last year in the panel. I was a small business owner, born and raised here in Tacoma, just like Thomas. Ended up going to the Puyallup School District, though, for high school. And so that was kind of an interesting transition. Ran a mobile truck washing business, so it was very blue collar, very difficult. And my mom had always stressed education. So I really just wanted to become a student just to do something a little different. Learned and met a lot from the Tacoma business community. And then now I work right next door in property and liability insurance, and I've almost been there 10 years.
Now, let's hear, are you all marketing students? Are any of you marketing students? Let's do that. Show of hands. We got a third of you, maybe half. Marketing students. Are some of you, who's considering being a marketing student? Okay, we got a couple considering. The other ones are here because you're interested in marketing, interested in what you heard. We were going to be on the panels, smart people. You just want to hear what we have to say. We'll take that. So anybody making a career transition, you've been doing something else, now you want to do something else. Okay, perfect. I always love when there's at least one person here doing that, because I did that. It was very hard, and we can talk about it. So let's do the brainstorming section. What questions do you want to make sure that are burning questions that you want to make sure that we cover for you today? Yes.
Agency experience.
Agency experience?
The aspect of marketing, how important is agency experience?
How important is agency? All right, well, so, here's another pen. Hold on a second here. Let's see experience. What other questions we got?
Consumer making.
Consumer making?
Like say, how do you guys keep your consumers entertained or
like keeping their attention?
Yeah, keeping their attention.
Okay. I think we got some stuff about that. Okay.
And different types of marketing. Types of marketing that different areas. So I do outside sales, and so I'm a later student, I'm just curious and interested in like marketing research, different marketing strategies, advertising, things like that.
I like the different careers.
Yeah, like different options for careers besides sales, outside sales.
I work in a marketing as a marketing leader with a lot of salespeople, so I can speak, or we could probably all speak about a little bit about what that interaction is like and what's different between marketing and sales. That might be a question people have as well. So very cool. Any other questions? The new folks that just popped in, any questions? Yeah.
I wanted to know more about the new technologies and how it's transforming marketing.
Okay. New MarTech. Are you playing in that space now?
That's my question. Yeah.
Oh, right on, right on. Fantastic. Yes.
Actually, I'm not a marketing major, but I'm accounting major. If I want to transition to my job's marketing field, what I have to be prepared for the getting a job. So.
Okay. Yeah. I used to be a CPA, and that doesn't mean car parking attendant. No. Okay. Okay. That's
how to choose between the creative and analytical parts of marketing.
Oh, y'all speaking my language today.
that's
When thinking of building like your own brand, like how to present yourself, like either in a portfolio or like editing your resume in a certain way, and like just different options for that.
Did you prep them for these questions, Trish?
You like that one.
That was my favorite question.
okay. That's awesome. So, no, go ahead.
For the portfolio section, how should we like pick projects to make and offering freelance work? Like, what should we go? Like, how do you go about doing that?
Projects in portfolio.
You understand that question?
And what was the second part of it?
Yes, how do we go about building a portfolio and making sure that it aligns with the kind of roles that we're going for?
That's interesting. And I think we should probably, before we tackle that, we should talk about the kind of job, I guess, marketing roles that are out there. Like, and maybe even more fundamental to that is like, what type of jobs require marketing skills, and then sort of a thing. But maybe to even start that off even further is, what does a marketer do? Might be a good question. So, and that could be, what does marketers do, or what do we use marketing for in your career? So, Thomas, can I start you off with that?
Yeah. No.
Comfortable with that question?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
So, again, I think that marketing drives sales at the end of the day, right? Like, at the end of the day, how do we get our customers interested in whether product or service that we're trying to present to them? The way I look at marketing more so on my career perspective was, when I was here at UW, I took a consumer behavior course. And I realized was like, there's really two sides, kind of what you were saying up there. There was the creative side and then the analytical side. And for me, I have an analytical mind. So like, I was like, how do they leverage the data in order to push whatever marketing campaign or whatever they're trying to accomplish? So that's where I kind of like delved in. And I realized that the data side is its own career within itself. Marketing analytics, it's its own vertical within the marketing organization. So for example, like at Microsoft, I'm part of the marketing and business planning org. Everybody in my organization has to do marketing. So for me, my customers are different though. So I am on the operation and business insights team. So my launch leaders, my business planners are actually my customers. And so I have to market new tools to them that then they can leverage to then push that to the customers down the street, right? So it's a supply chain. So you could, but at the end of the day, for me personally, like, a marketer is someone that understands what problems that they're trying to solve for their customers, right? Because I think that the difference between, so for example, we work for two different consulting companies. What he's selling and what I'm selling is going to be almost exactly the same, like the services we're providing. Now, how is he marketing his services versus how am I marketing my services is the difference. Does that make sense?
And that could be the experience we're
That could
delivering.
be experience,
So, and that's what we differentiate ourselves based on the experience or other aspects or something like that.
But again, I think you hit the nail on the head with in my head, I really break it down to two. There's the creative marketing side, the advertising, right? Like making it pretty, presenting it in a way. And then there's the analytical side, which is, I mean, looking at huge, large data sets to understand what your customer wants and needs are, being able to drive sales in a way that is the most efficient and effective way based on data. So like, again, I am super biased. I love the data side of marketing. Now that being in a big marketing organization like Microsoft, I'm realizing that it's a really difficult task and they need an army of people. So when I think about the future, like I think of you guys. I'm just excited, not only for what AI, the technology that's going to help us, make our jobs more efficient and be more effective, but also just the opportunities that they're going to present to you guys. I think in 2030, a marketer is going to operate and act a lot differently than they are here in 2024, or even we were back in like 2000, early 2000s. So long-winded answer, but.
Thomas, you sparked a question for me, like when you mentioned like the services that you would offer as a consultant, and the same with Joel. Now, what about target market? How do you think your service offering would differ from a target market standpoint than what Joel offers?
I mean, the reality is our target market is probably going to be exactly the same.
we could have a different niche or something that we're going after, sort of a thing, like by industry groups, industries that we tackle. He may have more expertise in healthcare. I may have more expertise in finance or something like that. If we take the consulting analogy, too far, we all start to have a lot of expertise in a lot of different of the same niches. So there's so much overlap. I guess so. When I think of marketing, like what the different roles are that you potentially would feed into, I kind of look holistically at the marketing organization and then the flow of kind of a marketing concept from concept to like hitting the street on your television and your social media feed, sort of a thing. So you've got your strategists that are coming up with we're identifying the target market. We're identifying what is the offering that we're going to take to that target market. They're working with the business to prioritize. We've got a few different offerings or options that we could take to our market. Which do we prioritize, right? So that's kind of the strategy side of thing. How are we going to build a campaign? So the strategist may be, figuring out, how do we want to present ourselves, right? And so they'll come up with a variety of campaigns and things like that. So let's say we're trying to develop a campaign. You'll have program and project managers that will sit back. They're not marketers. They're business people that will help. They're sit in the marketing department, and they will help usher that or shepherd or quarterback that campaign through the process from inception to execution. And then, all the analytics and tracking, all that sort of stuff. You have marketing operations people. That's marketing operations is where those program and project managers sit. There you go. They also have the technologists, the MarTech, marketing technology, that sits within the operations teams. And so they're doing things like, figuring out how do we get the tracking pixels in the campaign, the artwork, or, whatever we put out there. What other things, fun, interesting things do these people do? They are figuring out how to track you across the web. They are trying to figure out like, okay, how we're going to get data from the results from our campaigns, whether it's television or online or whatever it is. How are we going to bring that in back and ingest it, and then make decisions about our broad marketing? Or Wes, you talked about targeted marketing. We're going to make decisions about the targeted marketing that we do. I have information that I attach to an individual. I have permission to use that information. And so what are we going to do next? So there's a whole technology analytics piece around that. And that's your technology stack that you're probably working with.
Well, like at Microsoft, so essentially we have like product marketers. And essentially those are the people that are going to decide, okay, what are we selling and who are we selling it to? Then you have the business planners who actually create the strategy on how do we get that product to market. Then down through that, you have what are called launch leaders. So they own all the operational things that, okay, Now that we know what we want to sell, we know who we want to sell it to, business planning has priced it. Now, how do we get it through our ecosystem essentially to get it to market? And then, like you said earlier, you have people like me who I am on an operation and business insights team within marketing, right? So my job is to enable the tooling that they need in order to get that to market as fast as possible. But yeah, again, I think marketing is such a wide range.
For those of you that mentioned portfolio, okay, now we're talking about creative. So you usually have a creative director under them. You have artists, people that are coming up with the concepts, but they are more artistic type. You know, they're graphic designers, they're, you know, content marketers who are writing copy, all that sort of good stuff. So they live under there. So like, as we're kind of talking through, there's translations, okay? So somebody has to translate the copy into another language. So all of this is part of marketing. There's something for everybody in a large marketing department. So you can find your niche. So yeah.
I'm interested in both the creative and analytical side of marketing. Like, what kind of job role should we be looking for if we want a mix of both?
They don't really play well together. Usually they struggle to communicate.
Sounds like you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So it sounds like you should go into consulting. So, but I think you can't. I think what you'll find is, you know, if you have a passion for those two things, like lean into both of them. Do dashboarding and do kind of analytical stuff, in your classes, and come up with your portfolio of the kind of the analytics things. Do the artwork and come up with your portfolio of the art sorts of things, and and then see which things are going to stick. But what you don't want to get stuck into, and at least from my perspective, is you don't want to cause confusion among your audience when you're communicating to the people that are trying to hire you. And so you don't show up to your analytics interview with your portfolio of artwork. Now you could present that as, hey, I'm a well-rounded human, and on the side, I do art because that's fun. Like I scuba dive, and I bring that up in my job interviews. But I don't want to present that as like I'm a scuba diver, and I'm going to scuba dive while you want me to do the analytics work. So that's kind of how I think of that. Maybe you guys have a different perspective.
I'm curious where you are in your education.
Senior.
You're a senior right now. Have you had any kind of internship opportunities?
Yeah, I haven't. Because I just transferred in and I didn't really have the chance to go through the whole internship process. And I was just wondering about that. Like, how should we go about going into marketing without having any prior marketing experience?
I mean, 1-year degree is enough, right? And then I think you are, and this is for everybody here, like knowing exactly what you want and why you want it is going to be the differentiator when looking at jobs. Because I mean, like the reality is everyone has certain skill sets that they're going to bring to the table. But like for you, for example, I'd say like, for me, if I was you, like I would say, hey, I love the analytics. I'm trained. I know how to do that side of the fence, but I also have an appetite for creative. So when there is an opportunity to do that, allow me to do that. Now you might be doing that for free, right? Because you're getting paid to do the analytics. So for example, when I was in consulting, I was what you would call like a delivery manager, right? Like, so I was a guy on the ground doing the work that the customer needed. But I always wanted to get into sales. I always felt like I'd be good at it. So I found a manager and a mentor that was like, all right, well, you want to sell for me, sell for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do your job, make sure you get that done. And whatever hours you have left over, regardless if it's within time or out of time, just like figure it out. And that's how I got my sales experience. I wasn't getting paid for it. I wasn't on an S plan or I wasn't getting money for it, but the experience alone. I tell everyone this, like, especially early career, 20s are for learning. Like, don't chase the money too soon. Like, you want as much experience as you possibly can. And what you're doing with that experience is you're not only checking off what you want to do, you're also checking off what you don't want to do. Because you might go into the analytics and be like, oh, hell no, this is not for me. I want to get to the creative, right? But you're still now within that realm and it's reachable. And then in the next interview, you can be like, hey, on my last company, even though I was getting paid to do the analytics, they allowed me to do some creative projects. Let me show you my portfolio, right? So sometimes you just got to take it into your own hands and not wait for like a manager to give you that opportunity.
Wes?
Yeah, sorry, Wes.
No, thanks, Tom. Wes, last year you said that one of your big piece of advice is making sure you differentiate yourself when you're trying to interview as a new student trying to get their first marketing job. So do you have any advice for them on how to differentiate?
There's a lot of different paths. And I would say, you as a senior, I still think there is some time to, to get out and get that experience. And it's you know, you're going to come out with a whole cohort of, you know, individuals graduating that might be in a position that you are in right now and saying, I don't have that experience. And so if you had the opportunity to join like the marketing society and, you know, do different project work. Are you in the marketing society?
President.
Okay, yeah. And what's your name?
Savia.
Okay, Rasavi, I would connect with her, right? And see if there's opportunity for one, you know, employers are attracted to groups like that. And there might, you know, be opportunity. And so from a differentiation standpoint, I really got involved here on campus, right? So there was a class called Board Governance, and we sat on a nonprofit board. That's where I met some of the Brown and Brown folks where I work now. I did the business case competitions, which should be coming up in June, I believe, or excuse me, January, February. Got involved in that. Actually was pretty fortunate to be on a 2-year winning team and then to represent the organization or represent UW Tacoma and the Invitational. So I just had these different experiences that I was able to add to my resume. I wasn't just a student. Being a student and going for a marketing degree was just kind of one of those boxes that was checked. But really employers want to see, I was the president of the marketing society as well. And so it was just like, you know, even though I am not technically a marketer, I'm more on the sales side. But that's how I differentiated myself within, you know, my time here. I did all these different extracurriculars and grew a huge network of individuals that are still here at UW and other business leaders in Tacoma.
And I just to add on to that, I think it's amazing. Like, again, I think that when it comes to differentiating yourself, one, authenticity is going to be your biggest tool in your tool belt. Like coming as you. If you're like me, you have high energy and you're all right, you're in people's faces, then do that. If you're more laid back, be laid back. But I think that another really good approach to differentiating yourself is your homework. And you guys are in college, so you should be really good at homework. Like, you'd be amazed how many people that I interview that don't know, like, you know, where does Microsoft sit within the competition within the industry? Like, what are our leading sales? Like, and the people that come in prepared, have done their homework, know my company, understand the position, have questions, just by naturally, they're differentiating from someone that just came in, saw a job description and applied. And I am always blown away, especially as someone that's from the younger side of the scale. And they come in and be like, yeah, I saw that Microsoft just did a BlackRock deal with on AI infrastructure and a huge hedge fund. Like, you tell me more about that? Like, right? Like, those people, I'm just like, okay, this person is prepared. They want this. They're not just here to check a box off. Like, they actually have done their homework. So again, differentiating can be really simplistic as far as just preparing yourself. You know, or separation is in the preparation. Or at the end of the day, I always love the people that come in and know exactly what they want to take from this job. I want this role because I'm going to take this specific skill set and it's going to help me build this part of my career. Because now I know I'm going to give you value as much as you're giving me value, right? So it doesn't always have to be about your skill set or your experience or the technical stuff. Like, it really is coming in with like great attitude, good energy, and knowing what you want. Like, it blows me away how many people, and I ask them like, well, you know, where do you see yourself growing in this job? Or like, what's that next step for you? They're just like, a deer in the headlights. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to be the one to help you get there.
See if I could summarize some of what we just said here. So differentiate yourself. So find something that's going to, you know, make you stand out. We've heard a couple of different things about how to do that. The skill set, knowing what skills you want to utilize on the job and what skills you want to build. So let me ask you this, guys. What skills are you looking for when you're hiring somebody out of school as a marketer? They don't have a lot of background. They don't have a big portfolio. And we can come back to the portfolio thing because I think there's more to be said about that. But what skills should these folks be leading with out of school? And I don't think that necessarily marketing is, you know, this is probably not specific to marketing. But let's hear what you say. Wes, go for it.
You know, I don't know if this is an acquired talent or just some people are born with it, but like grit, right? So want to see somebody with grit. Like, you know, what's the hardest thing you've ever done, right? And is it something that's impressive? Is it something, you know, when you're older and you're telling the story to your grandchildren, will they be impressed, right? I think that's, grit and, being able to pick yourself up. I mean, particularly if you're in a sales role, right? So I talk a lot from the sales standpoint and perspective. You get told no a lot, like a lot. Like you get told 99 times and then you get that one yes. And it's like, pulling the slot machine and winning, and it keeps you going. But if you don't have grit and resilience, you're going to be depressed, or you're not going to be able to keep picking yourself up, time and time again. Maybe you're trying to get a job, you got your education, you're on the honor roll or whatever it is, and you still aren't getting that job. Like, you have to be persistent. You have to, don't take no for an answer. Keep seeking until you get yes.
Yeah, for me, again, I'm with you, Wes. Like, I look for, if someone comes to me and they don't have a lot of experience, I look for the I would say the soft skills. You know what I mean? Like, again, is this person coachable? Is this someone that's coming in to learn, or are they coming in with an ego, right? Like, at the end of the day. So, I mean, for me, being someone that's humble yet confident, someone that knows what they want but still has room to grow. Like, one of my favorite interviews, I was interviewing a young woman. Literally, she was coming over from being a software engineer but wanted to get into marketing. She just didn't know how to make that transition. And so I actually was stacking her up against someone who had 15 years of marketing experience. But the person with 15 years of marketing experience came in and essentially told me how, like, the job should be done. Like, and in my mind, as I'm speaking to them, I could already hear the fact that, like, they're not going to take coaching very well. They're not going to be, they don't have a growth mindset is really what I'm trying to get at. Whereas this other person, zero experience, I could feel the hunger coming off of her. I mean, she's willing to give up a software engineering pay at Microsoft where you make almost 20% more than the business people, like, to come over to marketing. That tells me she has a passion for it, right? So, like, again, I go off a feeling. So I'm more inclined to hire someone that has less experience but has a hunger to them than someone who has an abundance of experience. One team I used to be on, we hired a person from Harvard, double major from Harvard. And, like, the word around town was like, oh man, we're bringing in some talent. Everybody better button it up. Like, this person's going to set the bar. She didn't even last a year. The simple fact that she came in and she wasn't coachable, right? Like, you have to be able to work within an environment. The thing I hated the most about UW or like just undergrad was the group projects. That is the most valuable experience you're going to get out of UW. I'm going to be honest. Working with different type of people to achieve a common goal. And to what you said earlier, joining different groups and, like, meeting new people, that's what marketing really at its core is about. Business is people, right? So, like, at the end of the day, if you don't have a lot of skill set, again, just tell them what skill you're going to develop. So I'm a little bit crazy. When I look at a job description, I'm not looking at it as, oh, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. I'm looking at it, oh man, I want that skill set. I'd love to add that to my repertoire. Oh, that looks really, really challenging. And I'll walk in and be honest. Hey man, these 4 things I've never done in my life, but I think I can do it. And if you give me the opportunity, I think I can blow you out the water. You know what I mean? So, like, again, there's so many different approaches to doing it, but at the end of the day, being authentic is number one. Because I used to be I was like that robot guy, like, thought I was trying to predict what they were going to ask me and I would try to answer, right? Like, prior to even getting there. And, like, I had, like, these set 4 things that I had to say regardless of the questions that were being asked. And I would just force it down their throats. Guess how many jobs I got? 0. As soon as I kind of, like, laid back and was like, you know what, I'm just going to present me as me. These are my capabilities. This is my skill set. And this is the things I want to achieve. All of a sudden, opportunities started presenting themselves.
It's awesome. Love it. Let's see. When I talk to new hires at Slalom, we have our associate consultant cohort, which we haven't had over the past year, unfortunately, or I'd be like touting it to you. You should apply for that. Maybe next year. I asked them, like, what do you do differently that, allows you to get the job? And they are doing stuff like, they will, they are taking on extracurricular stuff that demonstrates their leadership ability to plan a project, work, like you're saying, work with other people. So whether it's in their classroom exercises or maybe they're leading a fundraiser for a nonprofit or as part of the marketing society or what have you, you don't have to be the president of the marketing society. You could chair a committee, or you could talk one of your professors into putting on like a sports marketing day and you can help them plan and lead that. So there's all sorts of different stuff that you can do, but that's how you're building out your portfolio. And it doesn't have to be artwork or something like that necessarily, but you want to demonstrate that you can, be a leader, you can encourage and influence other people, and that you're a team player, and you can get shit done. Like, they really want to see the GSD factor in you. So, or grit, I guess, is another way to say it. So let's see here. Some of the skills that I think are really important, whether you're in marketing or not, is being a project manager, being able to plan, assign resources, figure out a budget, and then execute against that. Being able to let's see here, what are the other ones that are important? Understand a process, right? So you may not have that now, but as you're growing in your career, no matter which field you're in, you need to be able to understand, dissect an existing process, figure out how you can make it better or redefine it so that we can be more effective, right? So much conflict in a marketing department, and that's where I made a lot of money. My bread and butter is going to marketing departments, identifying the problems in their processes, and helping people work together better. So that's where I've gotten a holistic view of marketing departments. Another piece is like change management, and I'll segue this into something else. Change management is essentially helping people adopt a new way of working, right? So when there's a new process, a new technology, what have you, the thing, a lot of these folks in change management usually sit in HR, or they sit in some operational team or something like that. But what they don't know is that they're actually marketers. So you have an audience that you need to change their behavior, and you have all the marketing tools at your disposal. And that's what you're doing, that's essentially what you're doing is marketing. Now, the people that didn't grow up through marketing or come up to change management through marketing don't understand this, and they argue against me. But this shirt right here, I'm working on a project where we're implementing a software out at a large pharmaceutical company, and the software is called SAP. SAP is coming to the Pacific Northwest with Bigfoot. So the project mascot is the Sap Squatch, the Sap Squatch. Yes, and so Sap Squatch finds its way onto stickers, onto PowerPoint decks. I've spray painted the Sap Squatch on a potato and handed out potatoes and had a group activity around it. I even have a gentleman that wears a Bigfoot outfit and shows up at events with executives and with people and takes pictures, right? So the Sap Squatch has brand attributes. So, like, the Sap Squatch is helpful. The Sap Squatch is there to help you navigate the change to the new way of working, to provide support, to bring the fun. There's some attributes there. So I think of it as a marketing problem. So marketing is not just for marketers. Marketing is for everybody. And so now that's my segue into another thing. Like, what other careers is marketing useful for, Wes?
So, I'm in commercial insurance, and what's interesting is in commercial insurance, when we talk about marketing, we actually talk about taking an account, like let's say Thomas has a software startup business, taking his account to insurance underwriters, right? So like there might be 10 markets that we would go to. And so I essentially have to convince an underwriter to say, yeah, Thomas is looking for a $10 million umbrella, and he's got a couple, vans that do service work. And I have to have that, convince an underwriter to say, yes, I think he's worth, risking $10 million for. So that's marketing and insurance. There's that piece. But then how do I find Thomas as an insurance broker? How do I market myself? And so we utilize social media, Microsoft Dynamics. There's campaigns and sequences. I don't know if we'll talk a little bit more about the tools in time, but my marketing role is essentially two-parted. For one, let's say Joel's a contractor and he works, on big major construction. It's the same thing. I have to find somebody that's willing to put up those dollars. And then I have to be able to find a contractor and, a tech startup. How do they find me? Through networking, through social media, through my, cold calls, through my email campaigns. Maybe I need to dress up as a Sasquatch. I'm not sure. I think that's a good idea. But yeah, I hope that answered the question, but that's marketing, and it's a
aspect of marketing.
Well, I think it's good. I think it's a good tie-in. Thomas, you gotta.
No, I mean, again, I think there's just so many opportunities. Like, again, don't pigeonhole yourself into like, oh, I got a marketing degree, I have to get a marketing job. Like, my first job was a business analyst. I was literally taking things from one Excel spreadsheet and pasting them into another Excel spreadsheet. Like, I did that for 8 hours a day. Like, and so, I mean, and the marketing degree itself kind of puts you into the bucket of sales, right? But the reality is, guys, like, you're all marketers, whether you know it or not. You're going to have to market yourself into the job market, right? You have to market whatever project you're working on to your leadership to get buy-off and sign off, right? You're gonna be marketing your team to make sure your whole team doesn't get laid off, right? Like, so you're always in a constant marketing mode. So I just feel like in my career, I've been a technical PM, I've been a business analyst, I've been a consultant, I've been a portfolio management, all with a marketing degree. But at the end of the day, like, you're in sales. So tell me this is someone told me this the other day. They essentially said that marketing fills the pipeline, sales knocks it down.
So,
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So like think of it in that perspective, right? Like if you're a marketer, again, your job is to present whatever product or service you're providing to that customer. And to your point, how do they feel about it is probably the biggest thing. And then let the sales guy come in and shake the hand and take them to dinner and do all that fun stuff.
It's interesting. You're making the transition from sales to marketing, you know, so I do not think that sales and marketing are equivalent because I've worked so closely with sales and there's a disconnect between what they're after and what they're not bonused on, but rewarded on versus what the marketers are trying to achieve.
Yeah.
But the marketers need to understand that they are in service of sales, very much so. But they also are like the advisors, like they help the salespeople understand like how we can best get to your audience that you're interested in, so that where you're teed up to, you know, get from, broad statements about what it is we do as a company, to where the salesperson comes in and actually starts having that one-on-one conversation that results into a sale, if that makes any sense. I don't know if it does or not. But so the marketers, so let's talk about MarTech a little bit and we'll loop in the sales piece, right? So the marketers, they come up with the campaigns, they come out, they launch them into the world. So it may be an email marketing campaign, it may be, you know, a radio campaign, it may be something. But you're trying to get your audience to respond to you and raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in your product, your service, whatever, your nonprofit. And at some point, you need to capture information from those people and make it useful so that we can reach out to them and do a sale. It's, you know, it could be where you're just advertising and you hope that they're going to walk into the auto mart and buy a car. But it also, in today's modern kind of online advertising, you're generally trying to capture information from a forum. You'll pass it over to the sales team. The sales team is going to interact with them, and then they're going to, hopefully get some sort of sale. But they may not. They may not. They may just give you a little bit of information right now. And so we're going to track you around the web until you get. We give you an offer that entices you to give us more information, and then we can pass you over to the sales team. So there's a variety of technologies that power this interaction. And so we've got things like customer data platforms. We have CRM, customer relationship management. Why am I blanking on things like Marketo or Pardot? What are those things called?
Don't use them. I don't know.
Okay, no. Marketing automation tools. Yes.
Also use like Google Analytics as well? Or?
I don't know that particular one, but the analytics piece is either baked into these things or you're exporting data out and you're managing it on the back end. But so like your marketing automation platforms, those are the things that you're using to send out emails and stuff. You may be able to serve up some sort of advertisement and track what happens through that. Your customer data platform, do you know enough about? You want to talk about CDP or? Okay, so customer data platform. So I may interact with you online. I may interact with you via email. I may interact with you called into my call center. And the systems, the technologies that manage those interactions are usually distinct different technologies. They don't talk to each other. But you remember Lord of the Rings, one ring to rule them all? The CDP, Customer Data Platform, is the one system to rule them all. It ties all the data together. So it says, okay, you gave me your email address over here. The name and phone number over here seems to match what we got going on over in this other system. So I'm gonna use some AI or whatever, and we're machine learning, and we're gonna tie these pieces of information together and give ourselves some confidence that we have a match. And then call that the same person. And then we're gonna bring that over to our customer relationship management system, which is what our sales team is using to get a ping like, oh, we got a hot lead, I got a call. That sort of thing. So that's kind of the process. It's really complex. If you're into technology, you can learn all about that. You don't have to know that stuff to become a marketer, and you can actually learn it on a job. I had a graphic designer that worked for me, and we started onboarding some of this technology, and she showed an affinity for it, and then she became our expert, and she's made her career out of it for the last 10 years. So there's no one way to get there. Anyway, I've done a lot of talking. Anything you guys want to add on marketing technology?
Not really. Yeah.
Okay.
I utilize a CRM. It's a Microsoft product called Dynamics. And so we actually have, I work with a full-time marketer. And so like together we create sequences, right? So again, my job is to go after either, HR professionals or controllers, CFOs, chief financial officers. And it's like, how do I get their attention, right? So I've been in insurance for a while. I don't want to just pick up the phone, right? That's one way to get direct, to a sales contact. Like if I'm trying to get a hold of Thomas, because I heard he's got a startup that's just about to launch, and I'd love to write his insurance. But I would start with Microsoft Dynamics sequence. And so I sit down with the marketer and I say, well, like we plan out what the cadence is, right? So my first email to Thomas is going to go out, and then I'm going to ping him again in 4 days. And so through that, I can even get the data, did he even open it? So if he didn't open it and he didn't open up my follow-up email and then that third follow-up, like I'm probably just going to disconnect him from my sequence. But if he opened it, maybe I'll change and like send up like some type of follow-up, like, hey, here's something about Brown and Brown. Or if I see that he opened it and then I saw that he shared it with Joel, I think it's time to call. Like, I think I have something there. And then some of those, I use ChatGPT to kind of help kick off some of what those sequences are going to say. I make it a little bit more, humanized, but it is nice just to kind of have those. So that's the technology that I use, and then Zoom Info to know who is that like point of contact. So if you're looking at a particular business to even interview or to interview or get an internship, and you want to know like who's the business owner, there are different platforms that you can reach out to or dig into to know who's the HR professional, who's the business owner, who's that decision maker.
Hey, let me tee up the real meaty stuff. We haven't even touched on one of the most important pieces of these folks that are trying to get a career in marketing or any career, the informational interview. Thomas, can you explain why it's important?
Man, and again, I think that, so I call them coffee chats, to be honest with you, just to make it a little less formal, but informational interviews essentially, so Microsoft, when I'm looking for a new role, like I move jobs every 2 years, like they never get me for more than 2, maybe 3 years if they're lucky. So I'm always on the constant lookout. So what an informational is essentially saying, hey, I'm interested in this job that you have posted. I have not yet formally applied, but I would love to learn more about it. Can you spare 15 minutes, right? Like, I actually have a template that I send out to anybody that I want to reach out. It essentially just says, hey, this is who I am. My name is Thomas Bressler. I'll put it in you guys' example. My name is Thomas Bressler. I'm a marketing student at UW Tacoma. I'm really interested in pursuing a career in marketing. I see that you have listed this role for this, marketing assistant job. I'd love to learn more about what your needs are and what you're looking for in that role. Would you be willing to spare 15 minutes? And always make it 15 minutes. I don't know if that, like, I have no secret sauce on that, but when I say 30 minutes, I get a lot of declines. When I say 15 minutes, I get a lot more accepts, and it always goes 30 minutes or longer, right? But with informationals, just understand that it's an informal way of learning about a role and just getting in front of somebody. And as a student, I'm gonna do a shameless plug here, LinkedIn. You guys should be requesting informationals in LinkedIn, not just informationals themselves, but like, hey, I see you're a marketing researcher at Microsoft. Love, I'm studying this at UWT, would love to learn more about what that role entails. Just spare 15 minutes. I don't know if you guys know that. Always ask, like, don't just leave it open-ended, ask for what you want, right? I want 15 minutes of your time for A, B, or C. But informationals are the best way to kind of get out there in an informal fashion and get in front of people. Use LinkedIn. Email. You could be weird like me and just show up places. Like, that's how I got my first consulting job. I literally just showed up outside of Capgemini, sat outside the doors, and essentially what I was asking for was for an informational. But then no one was picking up the phone. They had no receptionist, so I sat outside their building for 2 hours, waiting for someone to walk out. And as soon as they did, 10-second elevator pitch. Hi, my name is Thomas Presser, just graduated from UWT, want to be in management consulting. I heard this is the place to be.
You're hired.
No. The funny thing is, I wish. She was like, oh, that's nice to know. Here's my card. Ooh, she done messed up. Gave me her card. I called her, email. This is where grit comes in. I called her and emailed her every day almost. It's like, what do you guys need? You need a receptionist? I'll do that for free. You need someone to vacuum the floors? I'll vacuum the floors. You need someone to make coffee? I'll make a mean cup of coffee. And literally, her name is Sally Armstrong. And I'm pretty sure she got to the point of, I don't think I'm gonna get rid of this guy. So then, therefore, boom, got me in, got my first consulting job. 2 weeks later, my significant other, she's working there. Now, my sister, my cousin, my best friend, and we Tacoma folk, we leave that door open, bro. But so informationals are just a great informal way of reaching out, but be okay with rejection. Like even me, 15 years in, master's degree, Microsoft, all that, I get 98% rejection, but that 2%, right? But the preparations and separation. If you go into an informal interview, you better have good questions because this isn't them interviewing you, it's you interviewing them. So, hey, what is the team culture like? What are the key skill sets that you're looking for in a potential person to fill this role? What does the person in the role today do, right? Like, again, you're gathering as much information as possible, at the same time impressing your personal brand on that person. And I'm crazy. I accept every information that comes my way. You know what I mean? And I've had some amazing ones, and I've also had some ones that are not so great. I've had people coming in and like essentially treating it like an interview, right? And I'm just like, no, that's not what this is. We're just getting to know each other.
Yeah, awesome. Just a couple other things. So if there's no role, so you as a student, you have this kind of golden ticket, this little card they hand out or whatever, you can ask anybody in the world to just, hey, I'm a student at UW Tacoma. I'm trying to find out information about XYZ, it's marketing analytics, how to create a portfolio, whatever it is. And 9 times out of 10, 80% of the time, maybe they're going to say yes. They'll talk to you. And particularly if you are connected to somebody that they know, they'll probably say yes. But if you do get the rejection, don't worry about it. So at any rate, but you have this moment in time, and these people can help you find out if you're interested in marketing technology. Like find the marketing technologist, director of marketing technology, MarTech, or whatever it is, and ping them on LinkedIn. Let them know that you're interested in this. You want to find out more what career. That doesn't have to be a job, but at least you're armed. They'll help you arm with information. And then the thing to do when you're closing things up is to say, hey, who are 2 other people I should talk to about this? And you ask for 2 because they're going to give you 1. And so at any rate, that way you can go on to the next person. You're starting to build that network. And so when the jobs do come up, you're there in the running to find out about them because you've built your network and you know information about them. So that's just kind of my pro tips there.
Joe, can I double down on comments that you both made? I think what Joel just said is like super important. Just the fact that you're college students, that's literally all you need to say, and somebody's gonna like let you in the door, right? And just Thomas had mentioned like he's working for Microsoft and he's got his MBA and he's still getting like thank you but no thank you. Like you're an adult, like we're good. You're a college student though, it's like every business owner, every business leader, it's like the door is open for you. So like take advantage. I took advantage of doing informational interviews in my junior year. It actually took me about a year of courting with Brown & Brown before I actually got my job. But because I had done so many different stops, I knew this is who I want to be employed by. I knew it. I knew it a year in advance.
Who's the real marketer?
Yeah,
So like,
Certainly know how to make an entrance. Sorry, I thought this started at 4.
No sweat, no sweat. So we got about 20 more minutes. So you haven't had airtime yet. You're still trying to catch your breath, and we're going to pepper you with questions. So Lacey, maybe tell just really quick about yourself, and then we'll start in on some questions.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Not at all.
Your conversation. Okay. Let's see. So I moved to Washington from Wyoming when I was 19 to attend the University of Puget Sound. I got my BFA there and studied fine arts in photography, and I had a business minor as a marketer in marketing as a side gig. And I started working at the Broadway Center for the Performing Arts in my undergrad years in the box office, just because it was a great fit for school and life. And when I graduated, I started as their marketing manager. And one thing led to another. 23 years later, the organization went through a complete rebrand. We went from becoming Broadway Center for the Performing Arts to Tacoma Arts Live, which is what the organization is now. I worked there for 23 years. My final position with the company was the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer. And then I recently, last November, made the decision to go out on my own. And so with a partner, I've founded a creative marketing agency. It's called Bright Sea Creative. We haven't been in business for a full year yet. We have 9 clients, and they're everywhere from Southern Oregon into Idaho. And things have been going really well. So I think that's life in a nutshell.
That is awesome. So let's see, we've covered a bunch of stuff. You come from kind of the fine arts background, okay? And so you've done a lot of branding and stuff. We had one question about, as a new marketer or student, how do you build your portfolio on the creative side?
Sure. Well, I would say, there's a ton of websites out there now that you can build your own portfolio in, but also just to get the experience and build the relationships with different organizations. You can volunteer with nonprofits. Writing samples are very, very important in any marketing world as far as creative goes, press, media. The ability to showcase that you can write and you can write well is super important and something that I've found really valuable.
And then how important is having agency experience when you're trying to get started or getting agency experience?
Honestly, I've never had any agency experience. So other than, working for Tacoma Arts Live, I was working with advertising firms doing essentially what an agency would do. So understanding what your media mix is and where you can find resources within each of those mixes, I think is very important. As far as, internships are very, very well received on a resume. But I also think that to get your foot in a door of any agency or any marketing experience helps to build your portfolio and build your marketing background.
So the little secret. So I mentioned before, I used to be a CPA and I tried to become a marketer. So this happened back in, what was it? So I wrapped up 2009, the tax season there, and then, finished up. I was getting my MBA. That was during the crash, the big recession. And so there are no jobs out there, let alone a job for anybody who's a CPA trying to pass themselves off as a marketer. So I started my own little creative agency or marketing agency, and I focused on the MarTech side, or the kind of, marketing automation, content marketing, that sort of stuff. But I got my big break doing the marketing for two big breaks. One was the marketing for the Master of Accounting program here at UW Tacoma. So that was pretty cool. Like I knew all top, it was kind of an in. I had something under my belt to show that I was a marketer. The other was being on the board for the Tacoma Symphony Orchestra, which is now Symphony Tacoma. And so I helped them with marketing. It was more advisory sorts of stuff, but just, 3 years of doing that. And then I was finally from Andy Below, who was the director, the led the organization at the time. He was able to, he gave me that recommendation I needed to get my real marketing job, right? So it went from, scraping together a living, barely a living, doing my own thing, to getting the recommendation from Andy because of that volunteer program or position, and then, launching my career there. So anyway, just a little punctuation mark on your story. Yeah.
And Below's the best.
He is the best. Oh my God, everybody loves Andy. Let's see here. We got questions around consumer attention, career transition, projects portfolio. Let's see here. I think we've covered most of this stuff.
Good question.
Is there questions in the back?
Nah, it was a quick one. I just wanted to know what services you provide with your new company that you started.
Sure. We're a bit of jacks of all trades right now. So coming from the performing arts realm, we did a little bit of everything. And so it's been interesting trying to explain, like, we can do web design, we can do logo design, we can do copywriting. We just signed a contract with Tacoma Public Library, and we're going to help them host a special event. So it's a little bit of everything right now. And I think, in year 2, maybe we will be honing that down a little bit, but right now we're offering a full force marketing service.
Do you mind if you have like a business card or anything? Because I'm actually in the startup phase with a couple companies that I'm doing for myself, and I'm working on a website.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I have business cards. Yep, I'll hit you up after this. Yeah.
I got a question for you. We were a little earlier talking about the differentiation between like marketing and then sales, right? And so it said that like, marketing is like filling the pipeline, and then the sales is like, knocking it down, or like, bringing in the business. And so you mentioned having 9 clients. Sounds like over a pretty large area of land. How did you market your marketing business, and then how did you like close some of these sales?
Yeah, well, I will say that a lot of so it's all about relationships, right? You never know whose path you're going to cross that you may be able to serve later down the line. So making sure that you have really strong foundations, good communication, good touch points with people as you're moving through life, I think is really important. We have been blessed to not have had to market very hard. It was really just a few LinkedIn messages that we've both published out in the world, and through relationships and networks of people that we've been connected with, I've had a number of people reach out to us, which is, I know that's not always the case, but it's been great.
Yeah.
One more. For my last degree, we use like kind of like a I would say like a not virtually of reality, but kind of like that. But basically, it taught us how to do like the social media planner and scheduling posts and stuff. You guys use software like that as well? Because I came across some things that are similar to that. I just wanted to know like your guys' experience and being in that field. I came in a little late, so maybe I missed something.
I'm not sure I understand the question. So are you saying that, are we
like social media planners and scheduling posts and through multiple
Gotcha.
platforms and stuff like that? Is that like another technique you guys use as well?
Is that, Lacey, is that something that you're using? Are you doing the social media stuff?
Yeah, we are. We're doing social media. So I've used a few platforms. I've used Hootsuite before. There was another company, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was based out of France, but it was serving a lot of clients in the United States. And it was helpful to be able to plan and schedule and program and see, your results and measurements through analytics there. But for another client, I've just basically used the Facebook scheduler, and that was enough for what they needed. So I think it really depends on what sort of analytics you're trying. What's your goal for the social media? Is it just to schedule posts? Is it just to have a voice.
Brand awareness.
What's the outcome?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the outreach. You know?
Yeah.
And so if you're, a small, scrappy, or like a governmental organization or something like that, you probably,
Right. You
don't have a
really
lot of
need,
sophisticated
like, a bunch
stuff.
of- yeah, you would
Yeah,
need
but if
like
you're
a-
a Starbucks, I'm sure they have a social media team, that's all they do, and so
Right.
they'll have their own proprietary technologies and stuff like that they're doing, but we see a hand there.
So I work for the Center for Leadership and Social Responsibility downstairs. And I am a student assistant managing the marketing and logistics for that whole organization. And so I have all these random posts and things that I've created and events that I help run and programs that I help initiate. So like physically, like what that would look like in a portfolio. And I'll explore Squarespace and stuff. Like I've explored portfolios, but what do you guys like to see on a portfolio that looks like, okay, like you post the text and then post the actual image that you created, and then how do you add like the event and all the things you did for the event? Like it seems like the construction of a portfolio is so abstract to me. And I'm like, I've done so much already, like how do I make it all kind of flow in the areas? Like you discussed event planning, that's a whole other thing, and the logistics of that. And then just the creative side of the posts and the content I'm creating and stuff. So I'm like, I don't know, how do I?
Sounds like you're doing like an integrated campaign. Lacey, if you had to put together like a pitch deck or something like that around an example of an integrated campaign that you've had to do.
I have, yeah. So when you're doing integrated campaigns, visuals are super helpful, right? You don't want to just have it all be text. And then to group it by event. So if you're, list your events, maybe have a link that goes into more information about what services you provided for that event. And then any metrics that you can show, like how many people were in attendance, how many people did you send your mailing list to? All of those sort of things help build the context of the work that you put in to put the event on.
Just question about the job transition.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have any background in marketing. So if I want to get the job there, how can I do? What I have to be, studying more, like taking more class in marketing, or decide I have to set up my skill set. So what do you recommend?
So I transitioned from accounting to marketing. And so, of course, I took all my coursework through the MBA program that learned about marketing and all that good stuff. And I leaned in and did some extra credits, student stuff under or research under Althoff, who's your dean now at the Milgard School. But it was really the volunteering with the Tacoma Symphony Orchestra, that the networking stuff there, going out, and I started doing my own consulting because nobody would hire me because I was a CPA. And so I started doing that. So I was able to get a few we talked about building the portfolio. That's how I built my portfolio. I looked at what other small organizations were using to market, and that's where I learned about marketing automation and things like that. And so I found out cheap ways to incorporate that and deliver that to my clients so I could help build that portfolio. So, that's how I did it. That was like kind of my scrappy mix. But does anybody else have any other ideas of like how you go out, how make a career transition like that?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, and again, this may sound a little bit crazy, but like you could go in a CPA role, but then start making friends with the marketing department, right? Like start network, like we said earlier. People, it's all about people. Like they always say, network is your net worth. Like it is the most truest thing I've ever heard in my life. So people equity, like at the end of the day, so like, for example, that's how I got into sales. Like I literally came in as a consultant, copying and pasting stuff, but I introduced myself to the sales manager and was like, hey man, I'd really love to get some experience over there. Would you be willing to spare some time or even help me understand how it all works? So like the way in isn't always the way you have to stay. You know what I'm saying? So like even at Microsoft, I'm on my 4th role at Microsoft. Like I'm the type of guy, I was like, oh, someone told me, oh, you're a marketing major, but you're a technical PM. Like, how does that work, right? Like, I was like, as a marketing guy, I'm able to sell my projects. Like, I'm not always the engineer building it, but someone has to sell it and market it to our leadership. I'm that guy, right? So like, I'm on the team, but I'm not actually an engineer. So, and when someone told me, it was like, you really want the Microsoft experience? Go to a product group. I started sending out informationals, talking to people in the product group, boom, landed a role there. I was like, man, I have a marketing degree. I really should make a stop off in marketing and business planning at some point. Started reaching out, found a couple people on my network, started talking to them, made the transition over there. So it really is about relationships, just like your sales pipeline, right? Like it'll fill itself up as you build those relationships. But don't think I have a marketing degree, I have to go get a marketing job. It could turn into a marketing job over time, right? But if you find a company or a program that you really want to go into, go in as an analyst for a CPA, and then literally, hey man, planning a happy hour. You want to come? Right? Like, and start making friends, because that's really what's going to drive your career in whatever direction you want.
So did you learn some kind of engineer kind of skill job when you joined the department?
Wait, I'll say it again.
You are the PM, so
Yeah.
you have to know about kind of some more kind of skill set to join there without marketing.
No, honestly. So it's funny. Like when I was talking to my GM about when they hired me, I was like, man, I may not be the person that you should have hired. And she's like, I didn't hire you for your technical prowess. I hired you because of your energy. I hired you because the culture that you're going to bring to my team is what we absolutely need. Like, I'm gonna lie, our job kind of sucks. Like what we do on a daily basis, it's not fun. It's not enjoyable, right? But I'm the type of dude like, hey, like let's have fun. When people join my meetings, when they leave, they feel better, right? Like the best compliment I got the other day was like, T, when you run your meetings, it almost feels like we're on a game show. I was like, that's exactly how I want it to be. It's boring stuff. Let's make it exciting. But that's what a marketer does, right? Yeah. Like it's more about how can we make you feel about what we're providing you. So I've never focused on the hard skills per se. I've always focused on the relationships. And then I've always focused on personal development. I'd love to get to the personal brand question eventually, because that's really what's driven my career to where it's at today.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're about 5 more minutes. So if we can all take maybe a minute and a half and give our kind of parting thoughts, and you can cover personal brand in that. So we'll start with Wes.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
I'd echo what I said in the beginning, just, proud that you guys are here. Hopefully you did learn something. I thought the questions were great. The questions were engaging. I think you have, a fantastic opportunity to think about what you want, right? So one of the things I did in my junior year as I was going around and interviewing for different organizations is I literally wrote out what I wanted, where I wanted to work. I wanted to work downtown Tacoma. Initially, I thought I was going to be an investment banker, ended up in commercial insurance. But I wanted something that's high paying and challenging, and I got all of it. All that I was asking for, I literally got. And it's just funny because I ended up pulling that document out like a couple of years later, and it was like, wow, like it was kind of a dream. What's my dream job? And I landed it. Get involved. Whether you're a senior, junior. I don't know if there's any freshmen in here. Excellent. Get involved. This is an amazing campus. That literally transformed downtown Tacoma. I'm a Tacoma native, so it's just amazing to see. The Tacoma business community is tight. Like it's kind of everybody knows everybody. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. This day and age, you don't necessarily even, obviously you don't need to even be in Tacoma. We have, the world is our oyster. So again, happy that you're here. This is a little bit more engagement that I've seen. COVID was kind of tough. I've been in some rooms that there was like 1-2 students. So happy to be here. Excited that UW Tacoma allows me to keep coming and hopefully give a little bit of inspiration to you students.
Lacey, you want to go next?
Well, I'm so sorry our time was ever so brief. And
networking event after this.
Yeah, I'll be at the networking event, so come see me. I have business cards and we can chat more if I missed any of the big depth of this conversation. Okay. I would just say that remember, it's about relationships, and there's this powerful tool called LinkedIn, and you are in the prime zone right now where you can literally ask anyone to be a reference or resource for you. And because you are a student, we've all been there, and we are all willing to lean in and help you and guide you and give you resources. And I miss that time in my life, like as a student, where you could ask any question, and LinkedIn really wasn't there when I was a student, but it's there now. And so use it, make sure that you're using those tools to the best of your ability.
Yes, so I'm gonna do it real fast. Okay, so personal brand. How about personal brand? Yes? Okay, great. So for everyone else, this is one of the most valuable like skill or tools that you can put inside your tool belt, in my humblest of opinions. So I treat my personal brand a little bit differently. It's more about my like North Star. Like, and I encourage everyone to kind of what you said, write down what you want. More important, as important, write down why you want it, because it's going to get tough, and your why is going to keep you grounded. But so my personal brand is focus. And the reason why I chose focus, I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm high energy, and my focus kind of goes everywhere. So like it's something I always have to keep at the top of my mind. And I believe in order to go from good to great, you have to tune out the white noise and focus on what's in front of you, right? So fun. Like I grew up in the south end of Tacoma, not fun. So I want my career to be fun. And I bring energy and I bring fun. Always for opportunity. Again, I'm from the south end. We don't got a lot of opportunity. So I understand how important opportunity is. C is for challenge. I know myself. If I'm not challenged, I know I'm gonna get bored. And if I'm bored, I'm out the door, right? U is for unity. I'm, like I told you, my cousin, my sister, my best friend, like two of my homies, like we're all at Microsoft now because it's about building your community.
They started at Capgemini.
We all started at Capgemini. All started as Capgemini. We built a blueprint on how to get there, so I'll share that with you guys as well. But then, and the S is for service. That's really an homage to my grandmother who said, you are nothing unless you're being of service to something greater than yourself. So when I go for a job, they say, T, what are we going to get outside of the skill set? You're going to hire someone that's going to have fun, bring energy to your team, look for opportunities to grow our space, look for new challenges to take on, create a unifying team environment, and you're hiring someone that's going to be of service to you greater than what you're paying me to do. And then I could flip that around as well. And when I look for a job, is it going to be fun? Is there opportunity for growth? Will it be challenging? What does the community look like? And again, is this company or some company or team that I'm joining of service greater than just selling products? Microsoft, if it was only about getting a desktop on a table, like what their marketing campaigns were all the way through the 90s, I probably want to work there. But now our mission is to empower every person in the organization on the planet to achieve more. I can get behind that, right? So again, like for me, a personal brand has literally, whenever I'm looking at roles or jobs or relationships, I'm putting it through my personal brand lens. And then I represent myself with it, right? So again, a personal brand isn't just if you're just gonna do it really quick, don't even do it at all. You're gonna be, like the guy that taught it to me, I went back for 3 months going reiterating and reiterating and reiterating. And I finally got it. Then he goes, okay, tell me in 30 seconds. Right? But again, it has been the most valuable tool that I've had. It has helped me build and develop a career that I never thought I would have. So that is, and again, rejection, grit, relationships, these are the components. I don't care if you're a marketer, a finance, tech, any industry you go into, these are the foundations which you can build your career off of. And I'm so excited for you guys. There's so much opportunity.
You know, there's a number of things I learned in business school. One of them is that people like to be thanked. You know, your friends and family like to be thanked. Your spouse likes to be thanked. Your colleagues and your customers like to be thanked. We'd like to thank you for you putting your time, attending, showing up today. Really, really fun having you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thank you to our panelists.